Welcome to Restoring Childhood on the Same Page, where we're literally trying to get on the same page with Jonathan Haidt's The Anxious Generation. I'm your host, Ryan Dalton, and I have three amazing guests here today who will introduce themselves. But before that, this week we're talking about Chapter 6, Why Social Media Harms Girls More Than Boys. We're going to get into it, but we will start with our two-time champion over here, and you can start with the introductions.
I am Morgan Aubrey. I'm a middle school math teacher in Putnam County.
I'm Mary Porter. I'm a realtor and I taught first grade for 12 years.
I'm Erica Clements and I am an interventionist for Putnam County.
Awesome. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you being here, and specifically thought of each of you in different ways as I was reading this chapter. We three have co-taught together at different points. You have always jumped to support any initiative that I've done in school. I was saying before that you're like the first name on my t-shirt anytime I'm doing some pickle festival, whatever it may be.
I can't say no.
Yeah. Oh. So, but yeah, I really appreciate that. But a few years ago, we did the Preserving Wellness video series on mental health. And you spoke specifically about anxiety and how that impacts you. And I thought that was a really good sort of connection to this chapter. You also have children, and one of them is a girl, and she's young. Did she just start kindergarten
She just started kindergarten, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
So you are not quite into the throes of this yet,
No.
thank goodness, but you have her, and then I know that you have a daughter, and then now two grandchildren.
I do. My daughter just turned 27 and I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, two granddaughters, yes.
Yeah, so, and I have to try to keep up with that because you've changed schools on me.
Yeah.
And I was still, I think, stuck on one granddaughter,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I have to
I've doubled.
update that. And then, of course, you have cats that are very impacted by this.
They just turned 3. Boy and girl.
But yeah, I think one of the things last time you were on, and just in our discussions, one of the very unique perspectives that you have is not only do you teach middle school, but you lived in this time of the Great Rewiring. You were born you were born and experienced the time with the shift of social media, iPhone and all that, which gives you an interesting perspective because not only can you speak to what you see in the middle school level, but
It's the best of both worlds.
yeah, best of both worlds.
Maybe not, but do know both worlds.
Yeah, no, you definitely know it. So we're going to jump into it, but I wanted to just start off by talking about Jonathan Haidt has at this point talked in depth about all the many ways that internet-based screen time is having a negative impact on kids and adults for that matter. And he has alluded to it throughout the entire book that though both boys and girls are negatively impacted, girls are negatively impacted in a different way than boys. And that's what this chapter is all about. And he opens with a story which for me was really hard to read with two girls. Maya is 9, Tej is 7. And reading this and knowing that they are so close to the age of this child, he opens the book or chapter up talking about really hit me. And even last night as I was preparing, I kind of teared up a little bit. A lot bit actually, but we'll leave that at. But I wanted to just open with that. So he's talking about a little girl named Alexis, and Alexis really wasn't allowed to use the screens and stuff, but she was kind of sneaking her way doing it. And he says she opened an Instagram account herself by stating that she was 13, even though she was 11. So first of all, sorry, going through puberty myself. First of all, 13, which is internet adulthood, is already too young in my opinion. So that could be a whole discussion, which it is in the book. But she was only 11 years old, and I cannot imagine my daughter, who's about to be 10, having complete unfettered access to Instagram right now. Reels, the images, all the things, all the content on there. I just can't imagine that. And so he kind of then lays it out, and he starts talking about how this started to negatively impact her. At first, there was happiness. She says, on Instagram, I reached 127 followers. Yeah. let's put it this way. I was happy and excited for 10 followers. Then this is just amazing. So at first she's like, wow, this is great. And then soon after that, her mental health really started taking a dive. And they shared this picture that she had drawn. She was actually hospitalized for anorexia and depression. And they show this picture, and I'll hold it up so the camera can see it. But the picture to me was heartbreaking, and this is where I really started tearing up, thinking about my own child. At this point, she was 12 years old, and the caption of the picture says, "Drawing made by Alexis Spence in April 2015, age 12. The words on her laptop," and she had drawn a laptop, and so these is like what the laptop is speaking to her, are worthless, die, ugly, stupid, kill yourself. Those are words that I would not want to be in my girls' vocabulary or connected to how they feel at all, and definitely not how they feel about themselves. And then she has this thought bubble, and then like the little phone, and it says the words on her phone are stupid, ugly, fat, and it was really just a striking example of how it kind of started innocently. She snuck her way on, got an Instagram account. She was happy at first. She was getting likes, and that made her happy. She was getting followers. And then the impact of that social media really started taking a negative toll. So yeah, I just wanted to open up with that because I felt like it was a powerful opening to this chapter. And again, I think about my own girls, and it's really heartbreaking to think about. What are some kind of first impressions on this chapter that you all had?
Well, with that specifically, I think you've done a good job with ages here. I'm by far the oldest, but this was not my childhood at all. And I grew up on a farm, and even the friendship, like the actual peer connections that I had, was limited just because where I lived. And I never felt this way about myself, and it's just hard to think about if I would have had access to this. I'm sure I would not be the person I am today. And that's sad to think about kids who this is a part of their life already. And it's limiting to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just to piggyback on that, I'm the same way. I mean, I didn't really have social media, but this image, this part really struck me because I remember, and we talked about this, I struggled with anxiety. I struggled with an eating disorder for a long time, and I distinctively remember a moment where I was with a boyfriend and a girl outside the door shouted out, well, there's Fat Mary. And I remember that comment, and still as a 40-year-old, I remember that comment, and I still, think about that. And that was one comment. And if you think about all the comments, the likes, and the huge audience that sees these comments, I mean, I just don't think I would have been able to make it out of that, out of the struggle of that. And like I said, I still think about it. And then these girls they're seeing things daily like that. So
Yeah, and it's inescapable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this side of the room, grew up in an era where everything was not documented in this way.
Thank goodness.
Everything did not live forever, and now things do. Things are not temporary anymore, and so that moment, not to diminish it because it sounds terrible, and
I'm over it.
Yeah, you're like
kind of.
But I mean, that's bad enough as it is.
Yeah.
That's hard enough for a girl at that age, at any age. That's hard enough. But then to think about that could be a video of that. There could be a picture of that. And under the picture, there are hundreds of comments about that. And then even those comments turn into something else, and they get shared and screenshotted and airdropped and spread like wildfire. And to think about this time, especially when we think about puberty, teen, middle school age girls, how hard that is already to be alive, to be a girl, all the changes that are happening in the girls' bodies, and then to throw this into it, it's devastating, I think.
Especially because it says that, she was 11. Oh no, sorry, she was 12 when she drew this. I wasn't allowed to get on, I didn't have social media until I was 13. And I do know that was too young because of the things I was exposed to. Because I do feel like this picture does summarize a little bit of my childhood with like my anxiety and my depression that I experienced. But I don't know. It's hard to read this and to see that the students I have right now are thinking these same things. Because I don't think a single one of the students that I see on a daily basis are stupid, worthless. They may be weirdos, but
Well, we
that's
are
a
too.
good thing.
Yeah.
And they're not, like, I do not think of a single student that would be ugly. They may act ugly sometimes, but they're kids, and I mean, it's going to happen. They're going to have to learn from that. I think it's hard now because if they do make a poor choice, it's all going to be documented. Like you said, they're going to text their friends about it, or
Yep.
there's going to be a video or a picture of it. Whereas, I mean, kids should be able to make mistakes.
Yeah. And I don't think kids are allowed to make mistakes anymore because of that, because everything lives forever. And that's a real part of childhood that has been lost in this digital era and I think it's part of the anxiety, this constant fear, and why in a previous chapter he talks about the difference between discover mode and defend mode. It kind of compares discover mode to a predator, where a predator doesn't have to worry about anything. A shark is just swimming, no cares in the world. They're just swimming through the ocean. Where like a kid or an animal that's on defend mode is just constantly worried about like what's going to happen next. What's the next thing that's going to be said about
And I
me?
see a lot of that in the classroom.
Yeah.
Just that unease. And, going back, if I was ever depressed or anxious as a child, I don't remember it.
Yeah.
And how sad to think that that's the normal for a lot of our teenage or middle school, teenage, early 20s girls. It's hard to think about.
Well, and it makes sense. You've spoken before about your screen time, and I'm putting it in quotes, as a kid. You want to talk about that, and then
Sure.
how it kind of correlates to what you just said on page 147. He shares this graph that is quite striking that shows depression levels met with hours on screen, and how like the longer they spend on social media, the more depressed the girls have become, and how it has impacted girls more than boys. And so you see the girls. I mean, it's way up here for the girls. The more time they're spending on the screens. I love to hear about your
So again, I'm old. And
relatable.
I grew up on a farm, and so we had 2 televisions, and we had an antenna. We didn't even have cable, none of that. But my mom would buy us a TV guide every Saturday. And Saturday, I had to pre-plan what I was going to watch on TV, and that was my screen, was the television. And I got an hour a week, and that's what I got. And so when I was reading this and I was trying to think back, I asked my mom, I'm like, why did you do that? Like, give me your pro tip. How did you know to do that? And that we were going to have these screens. And she said, I had no clue what was coming. But she said, I just really felt like your creativity was limited when you were sitting in front of that television, and you needed to be away from it. And so, I mean, she was doing an amazing job, but she didn't know she was doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
And it was just an instinct that she had. And I think that's one thing parents really need to rely on, is the stewardship they've been given over their children. They know them the best. They're the experts on their kids, and they get instincts that allow them to do what's best for their kids. And my mom followed that. And like I said, I don't remember being anxious or depressed or anything. I was just a kid.
Yeah.
And living a great life now. I mean, looking back on it.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I think that was TV. That was TV.
that was just TV.
It's not even like this
Nobody
little
could comment.
thing connected to the whole internet. And I think that's where he kind of differentiates here, and how girls are specifically and especially negatively impacted. He differentiates between digital media, so just, the internet, even TV and things like that, and social media, and how social media in particular, with all the algorithms and all the filters and all of that, is specifically having an impact on girls.
The algorithm part really got me. There was a section where they talked about how they created fake profiles.
Yep.
and how instantly the things that
Yeah.
were targeted for those girls, that was terrifying. They were talked about, they were targeted with weight loss ads,
Yes.
just different weight loss trends and ways to change their body. And that was within, a few days of them opening those fake accounts. And I think that stood out very big to me.
Yeah.
Just those targeted ads.
Yeah, and there was one about like I don't know the brands, but like a makeup, like ad if you did this certain thing, and I think about that the way that these algorithms are tailored, and that these tech companies are doing it on purpose to literally exploit our deepest, darkest fears, our insecurities, and they're like, oh, this person obviously feels insecure about their weight. Here's an ad about Ozempic, or I don't really know, but
I don't.
but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what are some other things that kind of stood out as we move on in the chapter? What are some things specifically about girls and this that kind of stood out?
I like the idea of this kind of dual pull from girls of agency and communion. And the agency is I need to be me, I need to be individual. But the communion is I'm kind of getting my worth in how I connect, how my individualism connects to somebody else's individualism, and I need to fit in. And in teaching middle school, junior high for a very long time, this is where that pull, I start to see it so much. And I have parents that reach out and they're like, they just don't want me to come to school anymore. They don't want to, they're kind of shutting me out of their life. And it's 100% true that kids start looking to other kids. And what's that book? Or the saying, you're like the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
And as a parent, I really monitored who my kids were friends with, and that sounds horrible, but I did it.
Yeah.
And when you have these social media platforms, it's a lot harder to control who those 5 people are.
Oh yeah.
And
50.
yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Or more. Like it's crazy. And who they're getting these thoughts, what's feeding their background noise in their own head.
Yeah.
A lot of times is scary to think about.
Very.
Well, like it said, that social media is not like sugar. It doesn't just affect the person who consumes it. Because, like, I know it goes on later about how it's better for the whole if everyone is going, I'm probably saying it wrong, if everyone went without phones, because then there's not that one kid feeling left out.
Yeah.
And so if we take the phones away from everyone, or smartphones, or if we're taking away social media from everybody, then there's not that one or those few that feel left out. It's everybody that's in the same boat, talking, getting to know each other, playing games, and not just stuck to their screen.
Yeah, I mean, he says here on 148, talking about how, like, in-person, I don't know, communion, connection has shifted since the early 2010s. He says students talk to each other less between classes, less at recess, at lunch, because they began to spend much of that time checking their phones, often getting caught up in micro dramas throughout the day. Hello. We see that. This meant that they made eye contact less frequently, laughed together less, and lost practice making conversation. Social media therefore harmed the social lives, even of students who stayed away from it. So kind of like what you're saying, it
Because
doesn't.
it's not even about the likes or the comments that you're getting. It's about who's liking and who's commenting on her post.
Yeah.
Or I like him, but he liked her picture. I wonder why he liked her picture and not mine first. And then I don't see this as often, maybe because I'm not friends with middle schoolers anymore. But when I was in middle and high school, there was a thing called a TBH or a TBR. Do y'all know it? Like where
TBH.
they would post a thing and it'd be like for a TBH, and if you liked it, they would go and comment something about you, like, to be honest, you are pretty, or to be honest, you get on my nerves, or to be honest, you're kind of ugly, or you stink. Or they would say like for a rate, and then you would literally like their picture, and they would go comment a rate 1 through 10, rating you as a person, like how pretty you are, how whatever. And so I remember every time those came up, I'm like, yes, liking it. I'm like, I hope they think. And I'm like, why was I getting my validation from some 11-year-old at home on their iPod
Delete
or whatever?
immediately.
Yeah, they're there with, like,
But that's what I was
Doritos.
doing.
Yeah.
Like,
Because you need that. You
but
crave that.
Like some of it was random people, but most of it was people that I knew, like at school. And so, yeah, it was.
And then so when you go to have that communion or that time with that person, it's hard because now you're harboring feelings that they don't like you, and that's just feeding that constant noise in your head. Ugh, yucky.
Very yucky.
Yeah,
Very yucky.
it is very yucky.
One thing that I thought as I was trying to think, because I now, unfortunately, can get caught up in social media too, right, as an adult. And next thing I know, I look at my phone and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just lost 2 hours and I did nothing. And that's so frustrating to me. But on page 157, near the bottom, it says, striving to excel can be healthy when it motivates girls to master skills that will be useful in later life. And so I know that there is this really good portion, there's always light and dark. There has to be, that pull of something. There can be a lot of good on social media, and I can learn a lot. Like the cool thing when I first learned about it was social media, maybe I think it's social media, it was Pinterest.
Oh yeah.
And like I got all these crazy ideas and I was like, I still have boards upon boards upon boards. And I learned so much, and that was a skill. But then if I were to post some of my fails.
I love Pinterest fails.
People were to rate me, to be honest. But that's me reaching to better myself in a positive way. And I think that that's hard times, especially for girls, to know where's that line.
Yeah.
I would like to improve my looks. I would like to be in with my looks. But how far is too far? Like I know, like my hair in the 80s was great, but when straight hair was in, I was out of luck. And so I had to learn how to do my hair like that. And if I would have had these social media tutorials, I could have done a lot better.
Yeah.
And I think that's an improvement. I'm trying to improve a skill that I have or the way I present myself, but where's the line? And I think that's hard.
I agree with that too, because my job specifically, I have to use social media. When I was teaching, I actually got off social media because kids were starting to try to friend and parents, and I was just like, And so then when I started real estate, you can't really survive without it. That's how you show your houses. That's how, you advertise. Your clients want to see that you have a heavy presence. They'll ask, how many likes did my video get? They want to know that. And so that part's great. But on the flip side, I get lots of negative comments about pricing, about looks, about what I said in a video, and even as a 40-year-old, you get caught up in that.
Yeah.
So as an adolescent, you use it, but it's hard to draw the line, to make everyone happy. You're trying to do all those things.
And I struggle with, because I'll get on TikTok to be like, because I follow a lot of teachers on there, and I'll see like, oh, that was a really cool game. But then later, I'm like, oh my word, I've spent an hour and a half just doom scrolling. And I started off looking for cool games, or cool things to do in class, or a way to do integers. And then I'm like looking at some girl do her makeup for 20 minutes. And I'd watch that video for 10 full minutes of someone just doing something.
Yeah, isn't it weird? Like just
You get sucked in.
Yeah, you get sucked in. Like somebody's eating like cornstarch.
Yeah.
It's
I
crunching,
love
and
those.
it's like, why am I watching this right now?
Yes.
I don't know.
And what does this
Yeah,
algorithm say?
yeah, exactly. Oh, you don't even want to know.
But I think that that's interesting too, because I think that it's designed to trap you
Yeah.
in there and to spend your time. And I think, maybe that was a takeaway from me. Like if I had to do this over again, my children are older and they're into social media and they do a pretty good job regulating themselves, I feel like. But I think if I would have known, if I would have had social media, I would have been able to sit down with my kids and say, I'm going to get on social media now. Why don't you come sit here? And I'm going to talk through, just like we're taught in education. Like, I'm going to talk through my thinking process with you. And so they know how I talk to myself when I look at these images. Yeah. Oh, she is really pretty, or I really like this idea. I think I might be able to do this. I'm going to use this. I'm going to save this. And if I'm walking through that with a child, then they know the background that they need to have to have that communication with themselves in how they regulate their social media.
It's also crazy
Absolutely.
because we're not teaching them to think negative things when they see these,
Yeah.
but they are.
Yeah.
Well, and when he talks about the 4 reasons why girls are
Yeah.
particularly vulnerable. Wow, that was a tongue twister. But reason number 1 is girls are more affected by visual social comparison and perfectionism. And he kind of goes in great detail about that. But then he shows this images of how like these filters that girls use create this image that's not even realistic. But like the vast majority of the images girls are seeing are these over filtered faces, and then it becomes like what they expect. And I do think we just joked a while ago about the Pinterest fail, but that's why I appreciate that, because that's real life.
It is.
If you see this perfect minion cake and you try to make that, it's not, I mean, maybe if you're a certain like cake maker, my minion cake is gonna look like a smushed banana, or I don't know what. Like, it's not gonna look like the minion cake. And that's real life. And that, I like that you say, like, have those conversations with your kids. But I think, again, when teens and young children are given just free and full access to this, and they don't have that dialogue happening, and they're seeing all these images that are like over photoshopped, over filtered, that gets in their subconscious.
Well, it also says on that same page that people are only posting the most perfect parts of
Yep.
their lives. And so if kids don't realize that and they're looking at it and they're like, oh, they just got this new toy and they just got this and they're hanging out together, and that kid's going through who knows what at home, then they're thinking, why am I not having all of these things happen to me? Why am I the one that's missing out on all of these opportunities? When really, I mean, if something bad happens, you're not going to be like, hey, guess who just got dumped? Or
This
like,
guy.
guess who just got kicked out of the house? Like, you know, like you're not going to post that.
Yeah.
So
There was a section where they talked about even the images just being flashed for
Yep.
a small
Oh,
amount of
yeah.
time.
20 milliseconds.
yes.
And that was mind-blowing to me, that it does, you don't even realize what you've seen, but it's already entered into the girl's subconscious of what they should look like. You know, I just thought that was, if you see it enough, you don't remember what normal, I guess, or average,
Yeah.
you know, looks like.
Absolutely. He says social comparison, after he says what you just said, where it's like 20 milliseconds. They did the study and they were given these images for 20 milliseconds. Like, that's not even enough to be aware you saw an image. And he says social comparison takes place outside awareness and affects explicit self-evaluations. So these girls don't even have to be aware, and they can just be scrolling and flipping and are being like negatively impacted by those images.
And I should have looked it up before, but there's the saying, comparison is the thief of joy.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
And that is 100% true. And
Well-
I have to, as an adult, I have to, when I get in that thinking, well, I wish I, oh, they went to Italy this year, or they went here, I wish I could do that. But what did I do? What did I do? And one thing on a reel I've seen recently
There you go.
was it looked like young teenage girls, and I don't know if this is a thing, but they were starting like gratitude check-ins. Have you seen something like that?
Yeah.
About like contacting people you really know.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for you
That's
because
good.
of this.
Oh, that's sweet.
And I was like, oh, why don't we just make this into something
Yeah.
better? And the kids can do that. They're amazing. We just have to let them know, the possibilities, I guess.
Absolutely.
For the good.
So, reason number 2 of why social media impacts girls more than boys is girls' aggression is more relational. So, whereas boys, it's like you punch the guy and it's over.
It's over.
You get a stick, you hit him over the head, all that good stuff.
I feel this one to my core.
Okay.
I have 3 older brothers. So I grew up my brothers had boxing gloves. My mom, single mom, gave them gloves, like fight it out, you know, sometimes. And so my thoughts as I was going through adolescence were like, just tell me what you're mad about and let's just fight it out,
Yeah.
But it wasn't that way. And still to this day, it's hard for me sometimes to read when someone's mad at me if they don't just come right out. So I don't fully understand, but I get that's exactly how it is. It's a long, drawn out thing. And so social media gives girls a platform to make it almost worse.
Yeah.
Like
know?
Mean Girls.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's And I think that is a great thing to teach girls too, is to always have someone in your life that speaks truth.
Yeah.
Like just like that. You were taught that. I pretty much was taught that because when I was raised, like feelings doesn't matter. You're just going to do it. I don't care how you feel.
Right.
And so I've always craved people who, if I really want the truth, I'm going to them, and I know they'll tell me that. And if I don't want the truth, I'm not going to ask them. That's just how it is. True. But I think that's a really good point, that it's okay to be truthful and kind to someone, and just come to the point of it. We don't get a lot. I'm angry at you because of this. This hurt my feelings or whatever. But I don't know that girls are taught that, because it's not their natural go-to.
It's not.
And he even says, then it's even more it can lead to depression, it can lead to anxiety, and then it's even more amplified for those who are depressed. So for depressed or ostracized teens, it feels inescapable, and the only escape that they feel is an actual escape is death. And so it's leading to higher suicide rates. And he says, for depressed or ostracized teens, physical death offers the end to pain, whereas social death is a living hell. So this cancel culture, this mean girl thing you're talking about feels like a social death, and it feels inescapable. Where, again, when we were growing up, a girl can say an unkind thing to you, move on, you don't hear about it again. We carry our phones everywhere, or at least the kids do. So they're being bullied at school, they're being bullied in their home, they're being bullied when they go to the bathroom, they're being bullied when they're going to bed, and it's just constant, and it feels inescapable.
And nothing's going to happen until we do take action. Because I remember when I was in middle school, when I think Emily Osment is in that movie Cyberbully. Have you seen that movie?
No.
We all had to watch it, which I was in private school, so a little different. The entire school got together and watched this movie. And it's about this girl who was cyberbullied, and then she does eventually harm herself and attempt to take her own life, which we all knew that. We were like, oh, yeah, those words hurt her, obviously. But it still didn't change. Like, we talked nice about people for maybe, like, the rest of the week.
Yeah.
But then, like, we went right back to subtweeting somebody or calling somebody fat. It just went right back to being rude. There wasn't actual change that took place. We talked about the problem, but we didn't fix it.
And I think that's the key between girls and boys. It's our nature. Like, it's how we're wired a little different.
Yep.
Like, get it out, get over it, and move on. Girls just don't tend to function like that.
Yeah.
And
There's a part in the book, I think, where they're talking about how maybe the agency versus communion, how boys the way to get power over the other boy is maybe more physical, where girls, it's to take away their community. It's to take away their friends and their relationships.
Hit her in their relationships.
Yeah.
That was perfect. You were right in the right spot. You're like,
She has it underlined.
It's underlined, too.
good job.
I listened to my book, so I don't have one.
I did too, and then I've gone back and like a maniac and scribbled all through this one. But we're kind of unfortunately starting to run out of time. But the two other reasons that I'm just going to touch on, and then if anything stands out to you about either of those, is reason number 3. He says girls more easily share emotions and disorders. So talking about that sort of collective thing that happens online. And then girls are more subject to predation and harassment. And that's one of the things that we see a lot, where they think that they're talking to a 12-year-old boy, and it's like a 72-year-old man.
Well, it also says how you just friend back whoever. I remember doing that. I remember I didn't turn my social media as private until college or when I was about to become a teacher, because I was like, oh, I don't want these kids, not that I was doing anything that I shouldn't be, but I was just like, I don't want them looking at my stuff. And so I went private. But I was not private up until then. And I remember getting people that would follow me, and I'd be like, oh, yay. Like, I got another one. And it would be like, oh, it looks like it's this boy. He looks cute. Who knows if that's him? Who knows who that is?
Yeah.
But I let them follow me. And along with following you, you can see, especially if you tag your location on it, it gets really creepy, because you can see, like, you can go in and find where that person was when they posted the picture. And it could get into stalking. But, I mean, I just wasn't, Well,
and I don't know if parents even know the depths of this. Like, that can happen on Instagram. Snapchat
Or it has your location.
Yeah. There's actually, it'll show a map, and it's a detailed map. And so anybody who is like, has their location on, which a lot of the teens do, you can literally go to this map and see all of your contacts who have their locations on and see their exact location.
And it'll show who's together.
Yep.
And it'll show them if they're in a car driving somewhere.
Pro tip, parents, figure that out.
Pro tip.
I did not have that. But I think too, like, to me, a great big takeaway was, as adults, we need to be better examples for our kids.
Yep.
And as women, even, like, I didn't learn this until later, that I need other women to lift me up. And I need to lift up other women. Like, and not to leave the men out of it, it's just women have that greater need in their life. And so when I start to go mama bear or, you know, psycho crazy with my emotions, I have tried to shift my thinking into, why is this person doing this? And how can I help them through whatever they're going through that has made them behave this way? Because really, you fix a lot of the problems if you can just straighten each other's crowns and, you know, help each other walk a little taller.
Absolutely.
And I think that if we were better examples, that would work.
You got it.
Almost made it.
If one of us didn't cry in this episode.
I know. What are we going to do? It's going to be me.
Yeah, and so I guess before we completely close, though we should have ended there. That was a good ending. I like how he speaks about and this is connected to what you said. Quantity over quality is how online world and social media has shifted it. Like, how many likes can I get? How many followers? And it's just all about quantity, and we lose out on that real world quality connections, like what you're speaking about. Quality, real world, human connections. And I mean, some people's followers might not even be real people. They might just be
they're all bots.
like a bot farm. But yeah, I guess I think that I'm also obviously not a girl. But yeah, it may come as a shock to you. But I think about my girls with this, and what I want for them is, don't worry about quantity and just getting as many people as possible, as many likes and acceptance. Find those people who care about you, who will support you, who will be there for you, who have your back when you're not in the room. That's what's important to me. Those friends that are like going to defend you when someone else starts the mean girl stuff when you're not even around. And that's what I want for them.
Those girls that will pull you out of it.
Yeah.
When you start feeling sorry for yourself, or when you start feeling, or will notice, you know, those things that sometimes parents can't notice. But yeah, exactly. If you have a few solid friends
That are paying attention to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
That you know are paying attention
Yes.
to you. Because it's easy. I mean, girls kind of go quiet. And that's when you know something's wrong. If a
Yeah,
girl's
absolutely.
quiet. But you have to have someone paying attention to you being quiet. So
It says that the happiest girls aren't the ones who have the most friendships, but the ones who have strong, supportive friendships, even if that means having a single terrific friend.
Yeah. And that is good. I think this internet age, social media age has tricked us into thinking we need all these relationships, all these contacts. And I think now at my grown age, my quality good friends, like that I regularly, daily or every other day communicate with, is a handful.
Yes.
But they are quality friends, and we hold each other up, and that's what really matters, and that is way more enriching than like having 1 million followers on TikTok. I don't have that, by the way.
30th Street.
I definitely don't have that.
I don't have TikTok.
Good for you. But yeah, what does anybody have any like final, or everyone, any final thoughts, just specifically for girls or parents of girls, or any final closing thoughts?
I said it once before. I think that if I had to do it over again, if I got to do it over again, which maybe I will with my grandchildren, but I think I just would have made my thinking a lot more verbal. I would have walked through how I was feeling about things, how when I saw that image, my immediate thought, my gut is this, but if I really think about it, this is what's going on in this picture. I think I just would have helped them or tutored them in that lane of social media or friends or how I handle friends. And pro tip that sounded really dumb was we did a lot of role playing in my house.
Oh yeah.
We did. And when my kids, I think too, as parents, we want to rush in and fix everything. And without the struggle, the kids will never learn how to do that on their own.
Yeah.
And you're not always going to be there, and they're going to have to be able to figure things out. And so tutoring them through that, baby steps, I'm going to sit with you now on social media, and then I want you to try and do this, or with anything in life, knowing that they're going to have to be on their own, they're going to have to make their own decisions. So equip them with everything they need to make those good decisions is what I would do differently.
I think with mine is that as well. I think that's great. I think the other thing is to teach your kids not to be that bandwagon friend, to teach your kids when they see that this is happening to someone, that they stand up for someone. You know, that you've got to be the one, the brave one to stand up and help that person. How would you feel, you know, if that was happening? And just to be that one friend, even if it's not your friend, but when you see it happening, stop it. You know, get in there and do something to help them.
I would probably say that if you're doing something on your phone that you think you need to hide from an adult or from a parent, you probably shouldn't be doing it in the first place. And I know that probably sounds like, what is it, the pot calling the kettle black? 'Cause I did the same thing, but looking back at it now, I'm just like, I didn't know. Like, I did know, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so I know it sounds always, if your mom's saying like, oh, you don't need to be doing that, you're like, whatever, Mom.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, you do not, if you're having to hide it from all the adults in your life, that's probably something you should not be partaking in.
That's great. Well, we have run out of time, but I really appreciate you all. Thank you so much for being a part of this and literally helping us be on the same page with this. Thank you. You did that last time.
Oh, really? I'm basic.
Perfect way to end. Like and comment.
Yeah.
I'll be counting.